tutorial will demonstrate how to create a Hebrew vocab list in Logos version 4. Even if you do not know the Hebrew language, you'll be able to utilize this feature to find the most frequently used Hebrew nouns and verbs in any given passage of the Old Testament and have the results in English so that you can analyze them. So let's get started. Alright, in the home page, we'll go ahead and click on the magnifying glass and start a search. We want to make sure that you select a morphological search, and in this row here we want to select certain features. We want to select all morphological texts, and we want to select and click on this, right click on or left click on it, and make sure that you click on Hebrew morphology. So we're going to search for all morphological texts in the ESV. You can also use the New American Standard Bible, any Bible that's linked to the reverse interlinear feature of Logos version 4. Well, let's go to this all passages and left click on it, and I want to create a new reference range. To do a search of long text is going to take a long time, so I'm going to limit it to Genesis chapters 1 and 2. So you can select, of course, any passage of Scripture, whether it's chapters or series of chapters or even a pericope, part of a chapter, to create these vocab lists. Go ahead and save this. So now what's going to be happening is we're going to be searching all morphological texts, Genesis chapters 1 and 2 in the English Standard Version with the Anderson-Forbes Hebrew morphology. In this Find dialog menu box, go ahead and put your cursor there, and over the 2 hit the @ symbol, and that brings up the dialog box for what morphological features you want to search for. Go ahead and select noun, that's the letter N, click out of that, put in a space, select the @ symbol again, and this time select verb, click out of that, and in between the cursor, go ahead and put space, and then capital O and capital R. So the query will read, we're going to search for any noun or any verb in the parameters that we've already established. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the left click on the blue arrow, and that's going to go ahead and execute the query that we have just designed. Alright, that took about 11 seconds on my computer. Now, don't be alarmed. This looks very daunting, especially the first time you've ever seen one. But we want you to make sure that you select not the verses or aligned. You can select the line, and that brings up all of the results aligned. But we want to select the analysis portion of the results. And what this will do, of course, is give us the opportunity to be able to analyze the results in more of a spreadsheet type of format. And that's what this basically looks like. It's like an Excel spreadsheet. Alright, what you want to do is look for the column called Lemma Hebrew. Click on it, hold the left mouse button while you drag it over here to where it says drag a column here, and while you're here, go ahead and find the result column, left click and hold, and bring that over here. And I want to show you what that does, but first thing we probably should do is go ahead and find the first entry, which is in this case Elohim, God, 46 results. But actually the one below, and say collapse all. And what this does is it minimizes all the results so you quickly see the statistics for the most frequently used nouns and verbs in the passage of Scripture that you selected. So you notice right away it's in descending order from starting with the most frequent. Elohim, or God, is 46 times, and so even though you have the Hebrew here, you have the transliteration, but you have the results in English. So even if you don't know the Hebrew text, you can see the result in a language in English that you can interpret. So it's 46 times, and you can see it goes down in number, and you can scroll down till you get through all the results. But this is a beautiful way to be able to look for what are the most frequently used nouns and verbs in any passage of Scripture. Because typically authors select words, especially verbs, and to be able to highlight those, and so you're able to focus your attention on the words that are most frequently used, and perhaps that's helpful to determine the theme or the focus of any given passage. While we're here, we can also find another column, and let's see if we can find that here. If you can't, you just right click on that and make sure that the chapter tab is highlighted there, and if you click on this and drag and put that to the front, you'll see something very amazing now, and that is we'll be able to see the results collated by chapter. So if we go once again to the Collapse All button, notice we have our results now by chapter, so we can do a comparison of the frequently used nouns and verbs in Genesis chapter 1 with that of Genesis chapter 2. And so if you were to select another Bible book or another section of Scripture, you're able to kind of compare chapter by chapter what the results are of the frequency. So for instance, if we go ahead and click on this, we see that God is used 32 times, and if we clicked on chapter 2, we see that God is used 14 times. Now, probably should have designed the search query a little bit more precise for chapter breaks, but since we're limited by the chapter breaks in the English Bibles, chapter 2, 1 through 4, many scholars would associate with chapter 1 in terms of a section break, and so the results here will be somewhat limited by the English chapter breaks that are in our Bibles. But the results here, again, are helpful for study. And so if you wanted to say, okay, now, how is this word translated in the the ESV text? Well, you can see it was capitalized once, and 19 other times it was just earth. But if you wanted to see other examples, so for instance, here is the verb to see. We can see the results, and 7 times it was saw in the ESV, and 1 time it was appear. And here we have the word zera, seed or vegetables. We can have 1 time with seed, another time probably with a prepositional understanding. But here's the results now that you can begin to analyze. And if you wanted to go ahead and take that chapter break out and look at the entire list once again, you just left click and drag up, and that will remove that, and we're back to where we're just looking at the Hebrew lemma and the results. One other thing that you're able to do while you're right here, so let's say you wanted to be able to analyze one of these words in more great detail. So let's say you wanted to look at the, let's see if we scroll down here a little bit, to create. Say that's an important word, I want to study that. It's used 11 times in the first 2 chapters. So you just left click on it, and it automatically brings up a Bible word study of that word. And so without even having to go right to a Hebrew or English text to be able to highlight and execute this feature, it automatically goes right into its own search window, so you can see the results. So you're able to see then right there 45 times this verb occurs in all the Old Testament. It's translated these different ways in the New American Standard text, and you could of course select that was my base text, so that's why it's selecting that, but if whatever your base text would also do that. So I'll go ahead and close this tab and get back to the results. But this is just a very powerful tool for you to be able to ascertain what are the most frequently used nouns and verbs, so that you can get at the theme or the focus of what the author is highlighting in that particular selected text that you are deciding to look at. You can also search for other morphological features as well, not just nouns and verbs. So if you wanted to search for other features as well, you could add more by interspersing it with the OR command, and you can bring up even more results to that. Just be careful about doing large sections of text. Thank you.